Hello, welcome to the weekly portions with the parasha, with the explanations of the Ramchal. So let's start this week portion, Tetzaveh. Okay, so here we are going to talk about the Kohen's duty and the garments of the Kohen, according to the idea of the Ramchal. So let's see. אוקיי, ואתה תקרב אליך את אהרון אחיך ואת בניו איתו מתוך בני ישראל, לקחנו לי אהרון, נדב ואביהו, אלעזר ואיתמר בני אהרון. And bring thou near into the Aaron, the brother, and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that they may minister into me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab and Avihu, Elazar and Itamar, Aaron's sons. So here we have the high priest, and the Kohen Gadol is designated for the divine. That was Aaron, the first one who became the chief priest, the high priest. So their task was to operate the Mishkan or later we call it the Beit HaMikdash. In other words, their responsibility was to include the operation of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, and the temple includes the rituals, traditions, and observance, and presenting those sacrifices for spiritual and practical, what was made after the sins of each individual. The word karban, sacrifice, is rooted in karov, meaning to bring closer. So these sacrifices were presented to facilitate the Jewish soul's purification and reunion with the divine after committing sins. So to allow this spiritual process to occur, the physical sacrifices were required, and the priest, the Kohanim, assisted this process. So Aaron was the first high priest known as a peacemaker, according to Avot. He had a great sense for reconciling marriage couples. So peace, shalom, is rooted in the word shalem, meaning completeness. So when we are in a completeness, there is a peace. So priests wear 8 types of garments. So 4 counted as a white garments in Bigdei Lavan, corresponding to the Tetragrammaton, one name of the Creator, and the other 4 garments is Bigdei Zahav, is corresponding to the Creator. Other's name is referring with Aleph, Dalet, Vav, Nun, Yud. So these represented the union and the connection of the divine attributes in the spiritual world. So Aaron, with a unique manner, they had these unique inner qualities, performed its services in the tabernacle by wearing these special garments. Only the high priest could enter the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh HaKodeshim, within the temple and the Mishkan as well. It is the most special place in the tabernacle, later on in the temple. Why is this place so special? So the spiritual world is divided into 4 parts. We have Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. So the highest level is Atzilut, when only the Creator existing is completely feeling this level. The creation is possible from the level of Bria onwards. Also, this was where the souls were created, and other type of creation could happen. This is also called the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies. So this is found in the Mishkan, the temple, corresponding to the Bria level. And the Yetzirah and the Asiyah develop from the Bria level, closer to our reality. So our physical world exists parallel to these levels. So there is a connection from the Kodesh HaKodeshim to our physical world. So the high priest with the spiritual level, close to this root, could enter this part of the tabernacle or later the temple. So only those spiritual authorized could enter on that special place. As mentioned, the spiritual world consists of 4 parts, just as a physical world. So the physical parts have inanimate, plant, animal, and speaking, that is human. So the sacrifices presented by the priest are composed of these 4 types of things. So the speaking human, the one who basically committed the error for which sacrifice will be presented, the remaining three words are involved with the types of the offerings in the temple: inanimate, plant, or animal. So the korban sacrifices brings a person closer to the Creator after making the mistake. So with this assistance of the priests, of course. So even the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, could not always enter to the Holy of Holies. So only once a year on Yom Kippur. So this is because on this day the impurity, the tuma, has no power to influence. It will not negatively affect anything. So therefore, the explosion of impurity was resisted by different scents and oils. It supports this process. However, if the soul, the high priest, was not pure, or something was not done correctly, then he would immediately die on that spot. So this had to be taken very seriously, considering what thoughts and actions surrounded him, as the purity of his soul stood as such as a high level. He represented the entire Jewish people at that time. ואתה תדבר אל כל חכמי לב, אשר מלאכתיו רוח חכמה, ועשו את בגדי הארון לקדשו לכהנה לי. And so shall speak unto our wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, and I make Aaron's garment to sanctify him, that may minister unto me in the priest's office. So, the preparation of the garments of the priest also required a high level of wisdom. So this means that only souls with elevated holiness and sanctity were needed for the creation of these garments. Since intention or kavanah is required for everything what we do, even in the seamless or garment assembler is spiritually connected to the Creator through pure intention. So we mentioned that the high priest, 8 types of garment, belong of 2 groups. Either it was Bigdei Lavan, the white garments, or Bigdei Zahav, the golden garments. Each represented one of the Creator's names and attributes. So those who saw these garments had to understand and feel what each of one represented spiritually. If we overlook the kavanah, the intention behind how they were made, we only see physical garments, which might seem easy to create. So without any proper intention, it would have been just a piece of clothing that anyone could make. So the person making these garments had to possess a good and wise heart. Interestingly, the creation of these garments contributed only to the sanctity and the spiritual level of the high priest. If someone else had worn these garments, they would have benefited from the spiritual connection that bonded them to the divine. They wouldn't have been benefited from that. So the high priest had these 8 types of garments, but the Torah mentions only 6 out of it, omitting the tzitz, the headplate, and the pants of the Kohens. They didn't require such power as mentioned earlier. So the headplate was written Kiddush LeHashem, holiness of the divine, encompassing sanctity itself. So the pants touched the bare skin like longer underwear, so didn't require more elevated intention in the tabernacle or nor in the temple. So every professional who made these garments were also endowed and above average honesty and reliability. So these materials for the garments were collected from peoples as a donation, and these human qualities were necessary to reach the spiritual level. וזה הדבר אשר תעשה להם לקדש אותם לכהן לי, לקח פר אחד ובן בקר ועלים שניהם תמימים. And this is that you shall do them to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. Take 1 young bullock and 2 rams without blemish. So, however, the priest initiated. This position is not quite like a secular office. It resembles a minister position, but as appointed minister of the divine. So let's admit that not everyone is suitable for this task. There must be many qualities that make someone worthy of becoming a priest. They must definitely distance themselves from negative energies. Perhaps also this idea that we can also learn, incorporate this into our everyday lives, that we can start to manifest. The presentation of sacrifices began with the Khatat, which is the reconciliatory offering to remove any remaining impurity from the priest. Afterward, the Olah, descending, meaning ascending, and the Shlamim, that is rooted in the word Shalom, Shalem, completeness. Offerings were presented. This is how Moses prepared the priests themselves. And what about other things? Okay, ולחם מצות וחלות מצות בלולאות השמן ורקיקי מצות משוחטים בשמן סולת חיטים תעשה אותם. And the unleavened bread and the cakes unleavened mingled with oil, and wafers unleavened spread with oil of wine, beaten flour shall to make them. Following this came the sacrifices connected to the three meals, which was always matzah. So the bread of the poor. It symbolizing poverty when we suppress our ego, preventing it from dominating over us and over others as well. So these three correspond to the three levels of soul. We have nefesh, ruach, and neshama. So the Ramchal distinguishes even five. So we beyond, above this level, we can have the chaya and the yechidah that are also presenting. So each set of sacrifices included 10 pieces of matzah. So the number 10 is corresponding to the yud and the perfection, the idea of perfection. And as we ascended in these categories of matzah sacrifices, this nefesh, ruach, neshama, the matzah became thinner each time, indicating that as we move higher, more refined holiness and non-physical factors are presenting. We are shifting from physical towards spiritual. ושחטת את האייל ולקחת מידתו ונחתתו על תנוך אוזן אהרון ועל תנוך אוזן בניו וימינית ועל בוחן ידם ימינית ועל בוחן רגלם הימינית וזרקתם את הדם על המזבח סביב. Then shalt you kill the ram and take off its blood, put it upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and upon the tip of the right ear of his sons, and upon the thumb of their right hand, and upon the great toe of their right foot, and dash the blood against the altar around about. He refined three types of animals, like two types, but three occasions: the bull, the goat, and the second goat sacrifice. These were not placed on the altar, but the priests allied themselves by anointing the right ear, the right thumb, and the right big toe. The second goat was connected to the shlamim sacrifice, and it was necessary for a priest to apply these three parts of the body to be better connected with the kedusha, with the holiness. So the ear is a sensory organ to hear our thoughts, and the thoughts themselves connect us with the divine. So what is happening if I'm thinking my ideas? I allow this channel to be created to connect with the divine, with the creator. The shlamim on the hand is connected to action, to do, and on the toe connected us to movement. So these three corresponds to three levels of the soul. The ear on the head is corresponding to neshama. The connection to the limbs correspond to ruach, and the toe is found at the legs correspond to nefesh. So the shlamim need to be applied on the right side because the priests are associated with the chesed aspect of the sephirot, representing this attribute. So this way they could serve the divine at the spiritual level. So the right side corresponds to Hesed, and the left side corresponds to Gvura. And then we have the ultimate topic is about the inner altar. ועשית מזבח קטורת, מקטר קטורת עצי שתיתים תעשו אותו. And you shall make an altar to burn incense upon the of acacia wood, shall make it. So the largest the latest creation of the tabernacle was the inner altar, which was used for daily sacrifices along with the oils, with these essential oils, just as in the creation of the man, who was created last, being the most developed among all creatures and most similar to the divine. It is called also Tselem Elohim. So this is the expression in the image of God. He experiences creation in his full totality. So similarly, the inner altar is the dearest to the Creator and the closest to it. So the priest could simultaneously connect to all four spiritual worlds, which also serve as a connection to the four physical worlds. So only the inner altar was the one point that united everything. It bridged the upper four spiritual worlds with the lower physical worlds. So it is a convergent at the single point. This was the inner altar. The very first object that was created in the Mishkan, that was the Aron, the ark, which corresponds to the heart. So the innermost part was the inner altar. The heart is basically the driving force for the whole body in connecting with the rest of it. So these spices and fragrant oils were also used for the sacrifice offering, referred these oils as ktoret in Hebrew. And here we have a little gematria, okay, little counting, where the letters of the alphabet are arranged in a table, and with the last letter is prepared with the first, and the second letter prepared to the last, and so on. So this is called adbash, this technique, okay? So we have the taf is related, adbash, the reason, aleph is with the taf, bet with the shin, and so on. So if we are arranging all the alphabet in this manner, so then the kuf would correspond to dalet, okay? So if we have this word ktoret, kuf, tet, vav, resh, taf, and according to the adbash, we will have, instead of the kuf dalet, then we arrive to 613 altogether. That is corresponding to the number of mitzvot that we have. So the two letters was swapped in here. We have the kuf and the dalet, and together, if you are putting it, we have one word meaning dak, fine, high quality of essential oils they used in the Mishkan and in the Holy Temple. So this high quality oil had been used there. So the outer altar was also connected to the sanctity. Here we have of the דברים רק חזק לבלתי אוכל דם כי הדם הוא הנפש ולא תאכל לנפש עם הבשר. And here we are concentrating הדם הוא הנפש, for the blood is the life. So the altar corresponds to the connection with the nefesh of the four spiritual levels. The offering presented in the inner altar using spices and the essential oils are associated with the ruach. We know it from Bereshit, Kol asher nishmat ruach Chayim bepiv. All in those whose nostrils was breath in the spirit of life. So only in Yom Kippur, the spice, the essential oils were used, the finest of the finest, corresponding to the level of Kedusha, the holiness. So this spiritual level aligns with the Neshama, which corresponds to what was used in the Holy of Holies of the Kodesh HaKodashim. That was this explanation for the week, and hopefully you will have a nice Torah reading in the synagogues. So have a nice week and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.